first and foremost, we'd like to see the NFA completely gone. It's one of the few things Europe has right is you can't hunt or shoot without a suppressor or what they call moderators. All they are a piece of metal. You can't do nothing with them unless something's attached to them.
This is the EXPS3 with DCR reticle from EOTech. Engineered for speed, built for certainty. The ultra-bright holographic window gives you instant target acquisition, and the DCR reticle allows for faster shots at close range. When every second matters and accuracy can't be compromised, trust the optic designed to perform when it counts most. EOTech, performance within reach.
If you haven't watched Landman, Matt, like, you got to get into that.
I don't remember if I paid for Paramount or not.
I'll give you my password. Sorry, Paramount. But let's go ahead and bring it straight in, dude. Freaking Josh. Long time no see, my boy. Actually, short time.
Yeah, not really.
You. So how have you been? Man, it's been a crazy last, I don't know, we'll call it 2 quarters. It's been a crazy half a year for you.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind for sure. From, starting where I was last time we talked to taking a month off of vacation for just me and then resetting and figure out that I just hate myself enough. I want to start another company. So here we are.
Yeah, I think it's a sales tactic. I think you're just trying to squeeze me dry because I bought some suppressors from you, and then now I'm going to probably buy some more suppressors from you, and it's just all about getting in my wallet, and I freaking love it. I love
it's just money, man. That's all it is. Can't take it with you.
And it's not really worth its weight in gold anymore, so it's just paper. What's it matter?
You make it every day, they say anyways. I make the half pennies, but, pennies don't exist no more, so nickels.
So I've been told. Well, for those that missed the last episode, and if you did, you need to go back and look at that just to get some backstory on Josh. But we're going to talk about that here too. Matt, Josh, introduce yourself to everybody and kind of talk about your background and what your role is at LayerX and why they are going to be they're going to be a name to watch.
Yeah, that's the thing is so I started my whole career back in 2014 with AAC when we were on the Remington name. Did that for 4 years, left once I saw the writing on the wall before the bankruptcy. Did government contracting for a few years and then started AAC back up with the JJE name. And then probably this year, probably around the summer, we had different directions for the company and we just didn't see eye to eye. So I just left. I didn't feel like, we're butting heads. So I was like, I don't want this headache. Y'all can run it, basically. Took a month off and just did some self reset. And it's like, well, I kind of miss it. I kind of miss, I still talk to the friends, all over the industry. And it was about that time just to get back on it. And it was like, yeah, well, let's start a new company. So me and some partners, we started LayerX Suppression, which the big thing around LayerX Suppression is we're going to be more system dedicated, system organizational around certain platforms. So platforms dedicated type stuff, but still be a name that people can look at and like, okay, well, this is not a, new shop that pop up. It's a new company, yes, but the people in it, like I was doing all the design work for AAC. So if you remember the Element 3, the RBP, Hub 2K, those cans, those are my ideas, my designs. So I've just taken what I've learned from there, make it LayerX, do a little bit tweak so I'm not violating my own patents and my own IP that, is over there now. And just started this thing. So the first can we launched out with is a Strake9, which is dedicated, really built it around roller delay systems and PCCs. We saw a lag in the industry of dedicated PCC rigs. Yeah, there's 36M cans, there's 36 cans, but as far as PCC, you've got maybe the Lithium, the RS9, the R9, the PTR Vent 2. And it's not that much saturated of a category as it would be if I got into 5.56 cans. right off the
Mhm.
bat. So
Yep.
the good thing is doing this and dedicating for MP5s. We know that's a very popular platform. There's a lot of people coming out with them, with Century, Mac, and a few others, making them more affordable where you're not dropping $3,000 for an HK, right? So we figured we'll do that,
Yeah.
get a good, strong, good foothold in the industry there. And then we'll transition into a 556 can or 556K can. Kind of what I've been working on before I jumped on a call here. I was doing some SolidWorks for a 556 can to have it at least prototyped and at the SHOT Show booth is the plan.
So so it's kinda interesting. You started cutting your teeth at AAC Remington, and, AAC was started by KB, for
Hmm.
those who don't know, and when KB started all those many years ago in the back of Bullseye, he dropped a Tyrant 9, which at the time, and still might be, one of the quietest, best sounding, best selling 9 millimeter cans on the market,
Right.
and I think it's really cool that you kind of, you know, whether you thought about it or not, you kinda did a little tip of your cap to how you cut your teeth, and you're coming in with a platform specific, caliber specific can to say, "Hey, I would rather make one suppressor to the best of my freaking ability and make it do everything that I want it to do rather than drop 4 or 5 or 6 different ones
Mhm.
that are 80% of the way there." So I
Yeah.
think that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think my baseline can was? I mean, I've got Tyrant Nines from old Tyrant 9M HD, the one we did at AAC, and I use those with all my baselines. So I get that, bought a Mojave, bought a Lithium RS9, and then went up to Thunder Beast at their Sound Summit. And like I said, the can designed strictly for the shooter's experience. So the shooter's ears number is what I'm going for on pulse and things of that nature. I don't really muzzle numbers. Yeah, it's cool. It's all right, I guess, but I'm not worried about who's left or right of me because I'm probably the only one shooting with cans, right? We've been to ranges where we're the only people there, and everybody's got 7.5 inch ARs just blasting down range, and we're like, "Fuck, what are we doing?"
Yeah.
Uh, but no, and then at Thunder Beast, I mean, against everybody they put it up against, it was the quietest at the shooter's ear with their pulse system, even their cans. And then even on pistol, it wasn't bad. I mean, it was in the top 10, which is great for me because, I mean, it was just a caveat like, oh, that's cool. It does good, really good on pistol, but it was mainly for roller delay systems. So it really does make me feel a little bit better in that I can hit pistol and PCCs. But the main goal on this one is the roller delays and the PCC market. But like I said, I've got a flux rater that it does, it actually cycles on a flux, which we know are
Nice.
finicky as anything with cans.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Well, Matt, let's go ahead and jump in
Uh,
our first section, bro.
yeah, that leads us right into our first segment for you, Josh. It's Ask AI. This week's Ask AI is brought to you by our friends over at Wheeler Tools. Don't forget to use Whiskey 10 at checkout. Save yourself a couple of dollars.
When precision matters, trust the tool that delivers. The Wheeler Pro Series 100-piece fat wrench kit brings unmatched control to your bench. With torque you can trust and 100 purpose-built bits, it's the all-in-one answer for gunsmiths, builders, and perfectionists. Whether you're mounting optics or dialing in fine details, this kit hits every mark. Clean, confident, repeatable. No guesswork, no strip screws. Just pro-level performance in your hands. Upgrade your bench with Wheeler Tools.
All right. So, I mean, you've said LayerX is pretty new. And so I
Right.
asked AI, and it does have something for you, though. And I think you've already actually kind of touched on a couple of these points. So it's doing a good job. It says LayerX Suppression is a relatively new US suppressor manufacturer. The company describes itself as a platform optimized suppressor system, meaning they're designed to work with modern firearm platforms in mind. Their first or lead product appears to be the Strake9 suppressor, a 9mm PCC MP5 style suppressor built from DFARS grade 5 titanium using additive manufacturing and designed to deliver good sound reduction with minimal back pressure and smooth cycling. According to their About Us page, LayerX's team includes people with legacy suppressor industry experience, plus aerospace materials experts, suggesting a serious engineering driven approach rather than just a hobbyist origins.
Yeah, I'll take it.
So so hobbyist origins, man, that strikes a nerve with me. So so something that this is the land of the free, man. You're free to
Yep.
do what you want, and capitalism is king. So
Right.
anybody that wants to start their own business and pursue their American dream,
Go for it.
do, and don't let me hold you back. But, there's a lot of guys out there that, I mean, you've seen them. There's a lot of guys out there that go in there and, like you said, you own a couple suppressors from different manufacturers, and
Oh, yeah.
you do that so you can say, all right, well, what's my baseline? What do I need to beat based off of what I believe? I hold suppressors A, B, C, and D in high regard. And so
Mhm.
if I even want to be a player, I need to at least meet what these guys are doing. There's some guys out there that they're just buying some stuff and, you know, 3D scanning or laser jetting or water jetting and saying, all right, let's do just enough not to get sued, and let's just create something and, have my people or have my followers do my R&D for me and let me know how it works and all that. And I mean, that kind of gives a bad name to the suppressor industry to a point. Again, do you, it's capitalism,
Right.
but are you trying to build lifelong customers, or are you trying to burn fast, make a lot of money, and then fizzle out? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like we're not here to be a flash in the pan company. We're here. I mean, I'm planning already 4 or 5 different models to be created by next year. Uh, we're not like, yeah, I do. I send out some cans to some buddies of mine that are, I wouldn't, they're influencers, or they're gun guys, right? But I'm not doing the whole everybody gets one type deal. I still do my own R&D. I still do my own endurance testing, sound testing, all that. I still, I mean, for the 556K, I've developed or created 8 models in SolidWorks to figure out which one's going to work best. It's not just get one printed, send it off to the range and see what happens. No, uh, I do take my time and dedicate mainly the end of the day. Like I'll work during the middle of the night when I have nothing to do outside this or play video games. So if I get bored playing Forza or Battlefield, I'll get on SolidWorks and tinker a little bit. But yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like we're not here to get in, get out, make our bag and leave. We still, I still come from a background of customer service where if you've got to be there for the customers when they buy it, because I mean the MSRP on our can's 8.5. I mean that's a paycheck to some people. So I want you to feel like you spent the money, you're going to get the support behind it. And that was one of the big key features that I made prevalent when we started this company is CS needs to be top priority no matter what. So if you get on Instagram, DM, email, or any of that, more than likely it's me you're going to be talking to. So I can answer almost every question. I'm not saying we've been in the game long enough where people ask questions that we would have never thought of, and we're like, let me get back with you on that. But I want the customer to feel like that their money's well invested to a product that will perform or exceed their expectations with a company that stands behind it as well. No matter where you're at or what you're doing, you can always email, call, or whatnot, and I'll be there to pick up the phone and walk you through anything.
So, Josh, it sounds like LayerX is, I mean, you're using uh, top of the line materials, you're
Hmm.
using cutting edge processes. Obviously, it sounds like you're at least the main designer of everything that's going on inside of the can,
Right.
and you have a pretty impressive resume in the industry as far as can designs go. There's some serious stuff out there with your name on it. So, like, I guess what's your philosophy on the if we were gonna draw what's the 3 circle diagram with the overlap uh What's your philosophy on performance, durability, and weight?
Uh, Probably in that origin, right? Is performance should always be top tier. Durability is also tier. You have to make sure that the can's going to withstand. I mean, yeah, you're kind of limited by the material, the titanium, the Haynes, the Inconel, and then weight. I don't mind putting a little bit of extra weight in my cans, and knowing that, hey, if you get a hot round, if you get a hot load, or you put the wrong caliber through it, that the can's not going to break. I mean, we've seen it
Mm,
recently where people try to go as thin as they can on welded cans, and the welds break because there's not enough material that's been consumed in the weld to hold up to the pressures, mainly magnum calibers. So I don't mind putting a little bit extra weight on my cans just so you're not getting that. But that also goes to the QC of when we use deforced titanium, which is extremely you know, high tolerance QC'd material, USA source, NATO source. So it's not anything from China, Russia, Korea, any of that, titanium. It's all, most of it's USA sourced titanium or USA made titanium. So yeah, we pay a little bit extra
right on.
for it, but we make sure, the customer gets a good product. And we say your product is, USA made, USA sourced. So it's another little tip in our cap that we like to do, versus outsourcing from all over. But yeah, performance, durability, and weight would be my one, two, three on that.
Okay, so you mentioned Inconel, you mentioned some stainless, you mentioned a few other materials. Why do you guys? I mean, you've had your head in the game for a while. Why is it so important for you guys to focus on the materials and the process so much?
Mainly it's due to, the weight to performance ratio and then the yield weight of the material, the strength of the material, so to speak. That it's actually going to last forever, right? You're buying these cans. I mean, yeah, it won't be as bad just because there's no $200 tax stamp anymore coming January
Mm,
1. That you buy a can, you're expecting it to last for a lifetime, right? Or hand down or whatnot. So picking a good quality material is key when going into that. And then we have to play into it's like, all right, 9 millimeter can is not going to get super hot, right? So we can cheapen. I wouldn't say cheapen, but we can go a different route weight wise. So we can use titanium, which is naturally lighter than Inconel or Haynes versus a 556 cans that mine will be in Haynes 282. So you can beat it up, run it full auto, with especially with the rise of super safeties coming out. That's the other thing
mhm.
is you will have taken that into play now. It's like, yeah, we know a lot of people use the term full auto rated mainly as a clickbait or just a little tab that no one's gonna full auto rate an M16. No, not a. You got 1% of people buying M16s, right? True M16s. But now with the rise of super safeties, I mean, $200 you can turn your semi-auto Anderson or whatnot into a full auto now. So we're about to figure out whose cans are really full auto rated and who's just using it as a marketing ploy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Yeah, so I was gonna say, if I was a suppressor manufacturer, because I'm not, and I was gonna source a material, I'd be probably using vibranium because it worked really good with the Black Panther. And although that's make believe, why is it pretty much the status quo? And do you think other metals will eventually come into play? But why is it, you get your stainless for your first baffle or your mount or whatever, and then it's
Mhm.
titanium and Inconel. What makes those so special?
Mainly, the biggest thing is cost, right? I'm not saying there's not better materials out there. I mean, there probably are. They're just so expensive that the everyday consumer won't drop, $3,000 for a
Mm,
556 can. So we have to play in a part of how, I wouldn't say cheap, but how, expensive the material we're using is and how does it justify to final cost and performance to that cost. Uh, so if we use we used to use Inconel blast baffle and stainless steel baffle to keep costs down because mainly a cost on a Inconel baffle was 3-4x the cost of a stainless steel baffle. So we're able to get that initial blast chamber, that blast performance, to capture the initial combustion inside that chamber to take the initial blunt off the force. And then stainless steel is just, it'll be fine for what it is. So it does matter. Titanium seems to be the status quo for lightweight cans. You got to play with sparking, which is naturally occurring in tie cans. On my Strake9, I've got internal flash hiders built in to help somewhat eliminate it. I'm not going to say it fully eliminates it, just because of how tie is, especially being a powder form
Yeah.
with a 3D print. Uh, but you want to use something a little bit heavier duty. If you have people wanting to run full auto in, 5.56, titanium's good for roughly 4 mags. So basically a loadout. After that, you want to let it cool, but Inconel and Haynes will allow you where you can just run it to death and not have to worry about checking it every fourth mag.
Hmm.
But yeah, it does. I mean, it's a big uh, play of way ins and way outs of what you're trying to do as a company and what you're trying to get that cost to the customer. Stainless steel will be cheaper. It just naturally is. Titanium, Inconel, and Haynes will be more expensive. Just because the material is a little bit more different alloys. It's not as easily sourced as stainless steel, especially with 17.4 being, around this industry for however long. Most any shop can turn it. Where Inconel and Haynes, you have to find specialty shops that can turn that material with the right bits and everything without having the
Mhm.
costs go up because the Haynes or the Inconel is eating up bits left and right. So you're
Yeah.
paying extra for tooling cost. Uh, so it's just that big way off is what you want your end product to look like between price wise, performance wise, and then how you want to get it to the customer.
Okay.
Amen. Well, let's take a quick break and hear from one of our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Your workspace matters, and the Tipton Best Gun Vise 360 doesn't play around. Built for serious shooters, this vise locks down rifles, shotguns, and ARs with zero movement and full control. Tool-free adjustments, rock-solid clamping, and a 360-degree rotating cradle give you access from every angle. No shortcuts, no compromises. Whether you're building, cleaning, or dialing in, this vise was made to keep up. Tipton Best Gun Vise 360. Built to hold, built to work.
All right, everybody, welcome back from the quick break. Josh, let's keep it rolling. I mean, it sounds again like you're offering a pretty premium product. So tell us about um, LayerX's choice to go with additive manufacturing versus a typical or traditional baffle stack welded design.
Yeah. So first thing is the quickness, right? We can print and
Mm.
create a lot more cans with additive than we can with welding and then traditional baffle builds, right? Because you're not relying on the shop to cut 6, 7 different baffles in the blast chamber, then, part XYZ, and then trying to rush everything at the end of it. With additive, we can just create a solid file and then a post machine file. And then most on the Strake9, I think we can get 25, 26 on a plate. And those plates take about 20 hours to print complete. So basically a full day construction, we have 26, 27 cans. The other thing with additive that allows us to do is do those unique, twisty designs that you can't do with traditional machining unless you just have a war chest of money, and money's not an option. Uh, but it does allow us to do, different geometry, gas vents, bypass valves, bleed offs, and then, twisty little baffles on the inside of it between the baffle core and the tube. Whether it's bleed off ports, where it's bypass valves, where it's cyclone, helixes, things like that. It gives us that ability to do that without costing an arm and a leg and keeping everything reasonable.
Okay.
But most time we can get better. Like what I've noticed, I get better performance out of additive cans than I can traditional cans, just because I can do a lot more. I'm not, you know, uh, I'm not hindered by certain design elements that I would be in traditional cans. But normally my performances are a lot better with the additives.
So I want to ask this, get out in front of it for those that are listening, because I know they're wanting to know. Because I want to know when it
Mhm.
comes to additive or 3D printed suppressors versus, standard baffle stacks or, in a tube or a welded can,
Mhm.
when I do the and, I have a baffle strike with a traditional can of a stack and a tube, I can kind of send that off to the manufacturer, send it back to them. Hopefully it's fixed under warranty. And if it is, they basically, they'll cut the tube, take that first, that first baffle out. That's got the serial number and all that good stuff. Then they will add, repair whatever it is, weld it all back together and ship it back to me. When it comes to 3D printing, it's kind of like, can you cut it out and weld back in, or is it a new like, oh, this doesn't work, you gotta have a new suppressor? Like, if you send one out to me and I screw up and shoot, my UMP, my ump through it instead of my damn MP5, and I put a 45 in it, and oops, like, what's the warranty process like on something like that?
So it is a little trickier. We don't have a serial ID ring like some people where they can just like from Energetics, right? They just swage it off, put it on a new bottom, and reprint. If we're able to cut out where it hit, depending on where it hit in the baffle, we can possibly cut it out and then basically what they call restitching. So you basically get that core out and then reprint on top of it, and then just integrate it with the quad lasers. If it's too far gone, depending on what the issue was, right? Uh, if we're able, I tell people, right, is if you're honest with me, I'll help you as much as I can. If you try to beat around the bush, then we're gonna play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Uh, Worst case scenario, as long as you're straight up, we'll probably just replace the can. Being $0 tax stamp is a lot easier now. To where you send that a can into us and we're like, oh, it's, we can't repair it. We're going to send it back to you. But hey, here's a voucher, or here's a coupon code for a new can that you buy on the website. Since we do use Capital Armory ship to your door method, that seems to would be the easiest and quickest way, depending on how long wait times goes up. That's going to be the tricky part. I know ATF is beta testing it and overloading that system. That's why you've seen probably eForms go down a lot here lately, because they're testing out that system. But worst case scenario, be honest with me, we'll replace that no charge. You might just have to do a new Form 4 uh, at worst case scenario.
That's not bad. I was just always wondering, because I know with 3D print, it's, the print is a seamless,
Yeah, I mean,
monolithic core when it
that's our Strake9 right there. So, I mean, everybody's seen it. They're surprised that it's printed because of how well, it's printed. I mean, so the flash hider, everything there. But yeah, so if you have a baffle stack anywhere here, the serial number's here. So more than likely, I'm going to have to replace the can for you.
okay.
But yeah, but the good thing is all those cans are test fired. So we've got it in agreement with our print shop to have all these cans test fired. So if the concentricity bad, if the print shifted during mid print, and it has a strike, we'll catch it, in the firing booth before it gets to the customer. So if customer gets in, looks like it's been fired, well, it has. Normally it's 3 to 5 rounds. Just A, check concentricity, and then B, to blow out any residual powder that might be in the vents and stuff.
Oh, smart, smart. So traditionally, like flow through cans were known for being still pretty loud, having a lot of flash, like an over glorified muzzle brake, really.
Right.
So, like, what? I guess how has that changed with additive manufacturing? What is combating those things now, and what are you guys seeing for pressure and sound and signature?
So, I mean, that's the advantage of additive. We can do all the bleed off valves for the gases to go into the can or slow down or bleed back into the front of the can. Because, like if you see in our can right here, you have those vents there that's pushing the gas forward away from the shooter. But also, the additive allows me to do a more hybrid style baffle design where I can actually go for numbers and where it's not blowing out your ears. That's why I'm saying it's like shooter's ear number is a big thing to me. So if I can shoot that can all day and without ears and get no gas to the face, and my ears are not ringing at the end of the day. So the additive allows me to do a more traditional baffle design, but also give bleed off valves and channels for the gases to go forward. But also that internal flash hider where you're not sparking. Because the other thing is I'm a big hog guy, so shooting under knives and thermals is big to me. So that's one of the few things that I actually do in my R&D is I take one on hog hunts, or I'll go to a buddy's property around here up on his farm and hunt hogs and see how it performs at night. That's why we're using Alpha Tech instead of Cerakote, is because it has a low IR signature on it as well. So all these personal things that I do that I look for in a can that I got tired of looking under a giant glow stick or a 4th of July sparkler under night vision. I actually took that and was like, all right, what do I not like about it?
Excuse
And
me.
then how do I design that sparking everything away from the can while maintaining no ear pro and also, mainly no sparking is a big thing for me.
So I'm gonna dip back into my my late teens and my early 20s here, and I'm gonna talk about something I know a little bit about, and I know we've had conversations in the past, and I know you know a lot more about than I do. But I'm going back to my old days of me thinking I'm a gangster and having like the biggest subs in my damn car driving around and doing all these competitions and going, to DB drags and all these things where, the loudest decibel wins.
Right.
In the suppressor tech, the quietest DB wins. And, we've looked at a few things, and you and I have had personal conversations offline, but we've talked about not only does it matter where the meter is placed, but it also matters what meter is used,
Mhm.
because there are certain meters that I guess, for lack of better terms, I can moderate to say, "Oh, I want my decibel reading as a baseline not to be 0. I wanna go ahead and bump it down to -7 or -8, so when I
Mhm.
actually shoot, what actually registers on the screen is 7 to 8 decibels lower than what it should have been due to my manual calibration. So,
Right.
why is it how do you I guess the first question is, how do you measure your readings? Because the shooter's ear is important to you,
Mhm.
and what I guess, what's the process? And then once you explain that, we all know that, for every right way to do it, there's 10 wrong ways to do it and
Right.
ways to get around it. How are people getting around that or manipulating those numbers as a sales ploy?
So, I mean, it really depends on how they set up. We use a pulse system, B&K Pulse, in conjunction. Most of the time we'll go up to Thunder Beast or one of the other industry partners that I'm friends with, just because we haven't dropped the 40,000 for a pulse system yet.
Yeah.
So that's another thing of having been in the industry long, but I can make those phone calls and I can fly up there or wherever. And the pulse system is pretty much the widely accepted one in the industry. And most of the time you have 3 meters, you have muzzle left, muzzle right, shooter's ear. But those machines are extremely, extremely sensitive to sound. So normally over 5 mile per hour winds, you can't test because it will affect the sound dB. So if you're not taking that into effect, if you're not taking humidity into effect, it can affect your readings. That was the one good thing about. I know people joke about testing in Thunder Beast's barns, but as long as you can collect the reflection off the barn sides, you can get your peak dB in your waveforms. Uh, so doing that is what we do, and just basically it's the industry standard for the most part. Until I think Sammy released something this year about wanting to do a Sammy industry sound. I haven't really looked into it too deep. I've glanced over their files they sent out. I haven't dug into it, but most of them, I mean, Silencer Co., us, Dead Air, PTR, everybody uses Pulse system. It just is what it is. There's some companies that still use a Larson 2209 system that has been known to, you can game the system by 2 to 3 dBs with the 2209, and that's why no one really uses it, because you can play and game it to your advantage. Uh, that's why Pulse is very hard to. I've even talked to the people at B&K, and they're the same way. They're like, you have to know exactly what you're doing really well to understand how to game that system. Which makes me feel a little bit better about it. Larson's, you can hit the buttons a few times and you can game it. Uh, but I mean, that's why we use Pulse, and that's why, Thunder Beast does their Sound Summit, and I get it. It's like looking for a truck, right? You're going to look at 5, 6 different reviews on it. You're not going to just look at one. Uh, there's not, you just use it as a different source of data, right? Jay at Pew Science has his thing. That's a different thing from the Sound Summit, but just look at that at 2 points. We'll probably talk to Jay next year to get a straight to him and see what happens. I expect the shooter's number to do really well, the muzzle number not to do so great, just because that's what it's designed to do, right? But I mean, you just look at it as another point of data. The more data, the better, the more well-educated the customer is.
Yeah.
But
I was going to say, I just think it's interesting though, because there are companies out there that are putting, DB readings on paper, on wax, or they're actually putting it on camera and they're showing these things. And it's like, oh, look how quiet my thing is. And I'm not going to call anybody out by name, but I've also seen, on paper specifically, I've seen decibel readings come in, and I couldn't tell you the difference between 128 and 131. I couldn't tell you the difference in my own ear.
right.
But getting out there and seeing that, oh, this thing is going to register at 133 and I shoot it, my ears aren't finely tuned instruments to what I'm getting at, but I can shoot it and say, there's no way in hell this thing is in the 130s.
Right.
So it's like, I know for sure, like, no, this hurts my ear. I know what 130 sounds like. And it's kind of cool. Well, it's not kind of, it is definitely cool. And it's reassuring to know that not only are you designing a suppressor, capable of doing the things you say it's doing, but you're also testing it. And when shooters get out there and shoot it, they actually see those benefits and can attest that, yes, this is doing what it's saying it's doing, rather than, oh, it says this on paper or on Instagram or on, MySpace, whatever the hell it is. And then it
Right.
comes out and they shoot it and they say, damn, that thing's not really a suppressor. It's just a glorified muzzle brake.
Right. I mean, that's one good thing about T-Back and their Sound Summit is most time, I think this past year they had 25, 30 manufacturers up there testing to the same everything. Everything was apples to apples. Yeah, same lot number, even down to the same lot number of ammo, right? That's how particular those guys are up there. But I mean, that's the thing. I mean, PeakDB is only really one set of standards to use. I mean, we also look at waveforms. If you're seeing a waveform do extremely spike, coming up and then straight down, straight down, straight down, we know the port pop and all that's going to be more hard on the eardrum because you're getting that sharp spike versus just a gradual graph type deal like that, which is what I aim for. And that I think you've shot the cans I've made with AAC. It's more of a thump versus a spike. So you're not getting that sharp impulse on your eardrums. It's more gradually over time.
Yeah. That brings me into my second question of, for those people that say, I don't trust any decibel meter. I think that, readings are readings and you can manipulate them. That brings you into the majority of people buying nowadays. DB looks good on paper, but now it's more about tone, and tone is something that it doesn't matter how loud or how quiet something is. There are pleasant sounds for your ear and there are unpleasant sounds. And even if it's registering in the, 140s, 150s, if it's somehow pleasant in your ear, it's not as big a con as it is if it's registering in the 130s or, low 130s, high 120s. And you're kind of wincing every time you shoot it, like, yeah, it's quiet, but damn, it hurts my eardrum.
Right. I mean, that's the other thing. It's like I still tell people, like, we're muffs, we're earplugs, we're still shooting suppress. My ears are screwed anyway from going to rock concerts, mosh pits, and being as close to those Marshall amps as close as possible. So my ears already shot. But I've got to a point now where I've been around cans so long I can get a good feel for when I can shoot outdoors and, hear it like, that's not great, or that one, okay, that one sounds good. Let's put it on pulse before I take the time. I can eliminate one or two cans before going up and going to Wyoming, Texas, Ohio, wherever that might be, for actual pulse shooting. But also, I design cans around outdoor environments versus indoor shooting ranges. My cans are probably a little bit louder than some other cans in indoor ranges, but when you take them outside, they're quieter because I don't shoot indoors. I just don't see the purpose of shooting indoor unless that's the only thing you have, right? That's the big thing. If you're lucky to have the advantage of an outdoor range, always go there first. But if all you got is indoor range, go out, train, shoot, zero, learn your firearm, learn your suppressor use, your holdovers at the range. But my cans are just better outdoors than they are indoors. And it just is
I
what it is.
I had a and I'm not smart enough to know the answer, and I think this is why I'm curious. But you might be the man, Josh. So, like, I've shot titanium, like traditional titanium cans
Mhm.
out of some stuff. It's really tingy to me, like in titanium usually.
Mhm.
But the couple of titanium 3D printed cans didn't seem to share that same characteristic. Is it is it because it's porous? Like, I guess at
It does
some level?
it does help some versus a bar stock. I mean, we saw
Okay.
that with the Titan and the Mark 13 of old. That every time you shoot it, you would have that little ting, right when you pull the trigger, it goes off, boom, ting, things like that. But also depends on what the QD attachment is too. If it's a direct thread,
Oh.
probably won't be a bad. But if it's a flash hider, especially one like a old AAC 3 prong or old Silencer Co ASR, they naturally
Mhm.
ping, and that's what you're hearing. We noticed a lot really with old M4 2000s. You would hear the ping while you shot. Not saying it's titanium, the M4 was Inconel, but it was due to the flash hider underneath on the QD system that was tinging.
Okay, so it could be completely circumstantial to my
Mhm.
experience, but all right.
So I want to throw a curveball when it comes to any suppressor. I want to talk general suppressors, but then I want to focus really in on your suppressor.
Okay.
So I'm a DT guy. I'm a direct thread guy.
Mhm.
Um, I'm a I'm a guy that likes suppressors for everything that has threads. And I gotta be honest, I'm not an alignment rod fellow. I
Mhm.
am a I am a screw it on,
Pray for the
pull the
best.
Still
pull
gonna send it.
trigger, squint your eyes a little bit on the first round, put it on safe, inspect the muzzle, and figure out if it's good or not.
Right.
Uh, in the event of 3D printing, I know that tolerances are so great nowadays.
Mhm.
So, we're talking thous or tenths of thous off when it comes to tolerance. But if you put one of these new suppressors on your barrel and you run an alignment rod in it, whether it be a can that's brand new but 10 years old or a can you just got yesterday, and you put an alignment rod in it and it doesn't quite align, at that point, what the hell are you supposed to do?
You can use AccuShims. Uh, AccuShims, you can dial in the mount a little bit different. The mount's still the issue. Try a different flash hider or muzzle brakes. It'll be the QD muzzle device that does it. But with direct thread, the AccuShims will be fine. Be honest with you, I couldn't tell you the last time I used a alignment rod on even, back in the AAC days, back in this day, because I just screw
I
it
don't
on. I know what the overbore is. I know what the sizes is. I mean, with this Strake9, it's technically a 0.375, I think, without going back to the print. So you've got at least, 10 thou on each side of clearance. Not saying you should, push it to the limit and then, see what happens, but we do put a little bit of overbore there for things of that nature. But I mean, I would say check with alignment rod, but me personally, I couldn't. I don't even think I own a Geisley alignment rod in this house.
Yeah.
There ain't no alignment rods in this house.
Yeah. I was basically gonna say, unless you're the manufacturer of we'll just go bolt gun here, unless
Mhm.
you're the manufacturer of the action itself, the barrel, and the suppressor, it's really hard to keep everything perfectly consensual and
Mhm.
perfect alignment. And if you're talking about, a gas gun, I mean, it's like, well, I'm going to need the upper, I'm going to need the bolt face, I'm going to need the barrel extension with the barrel and that. And not everybody's making that stuff. And you're not lapping and blueprinting for
Right.
that whole system unless you're selling that as some sort of system itself. So there are tolerances to everybody, but I think with modern machinery, if you're using a somewhat new machine,
Mhm.
the tolerance so tight that, it for the most part, you guys are just taking out microns for coatings or for,
Mm.
overbore like you're saying, and you're not worried about overrun or tool wear or any of that because
Mm.
the
No.
machines are so smart, they know when to change tool heads and when to do certain things.
Yeah, I mean these, and then the lasers we use are quad jet lasers, so they're 4 lasers going at one time to make sure everything's concentric, and that's goes back to why we test fire every can is to make sure concentric. Because my rule of thumb is if you use an alignment rod, as long as you see space between the rod and the can, you're good to go, full send. Because like you said, unless you're the manufacturer making the barrel, the action, the muzzle threads, and then the can on top of it, there's not really much you can do about it. I mean, the only ones that I know that are really particular about that is the guys at Thunder Beast, just because all those guys up there are PRS years.
Yeah.
So that matters to them. So most time their run out on cans, I mean, is hardly zero. And they're, traditional machine cans, but they're building their cans for certain objectives, certain
Mhm.
jobs, which is PRS, distance shooting where it matters. Uh, and that's why they're a premium can. And you pay for them, but they're good cans. But yeah, unless you control every apple of that tree, it's hard to make sure that the can is sitting dead nuts. In small block numbers or terms, dead nut center. Right? It's hard to say that it's going to work or not going to work.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's take another quick commercial break and hear from our sponsors. We'll be right back.
When precision matters, every detail counts. The Frankfurt Arsenal IntelliDropper 2.0 takes accuracy to the next level with advanced sensors, a sleek touchscreen, and effortless calibration. Whether you're fine-tuning or loading in volume, the IntelliDropper 2.0 ensures confidence in every drop. Frankfurt Arsenal, precision starts here.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Josh, we're going to jump right into it. Tell us about what LayerX is making, what's available right now. What's your flagship, your first product? What'd you go with?
Yeah, so it's the Strake9. So what the Strake9 is, it's a 3D printed deforced titanium can, 9 millimeter, mainly designed for roller delay systems, MP5s, PCCs, Kunas, things of that. Just because, like I said earlier, we see a very large influx of those PCC MP5 buyers right now. And we thought to ourselves, all right, what's the best way to get a good foothold into the industry without being overshadowed by 20, 30 other different manufacturers? And that's what led us to the MP5 PCC can, the Strake9. So, like I said, it's full auto rated for 9 millimeter. You can shoot different calibers. You can shoot 308, 20-inch barrel, 5.56, 16-inch barrel. You just have barrel restrictions to it. The funnest one to shoot is 38 special through that thing, just because there's nothing there. All you hear is the click, and I think they're from Steinel Ammo up in Ohio, 196 grain, 38 specials. And on a 125 yard shot, you're like, did I miss? And then out of nowhere, it ding, and you're like, oh no, it just took it forever to get down there. But yeah, that's the flagship. That's what I mean. We got inventory now. We've shipped to dealers. Bauer Precision, Hanson Brothers. We're getting them out to dealers now. Influencer distributors, Allen Arms Tactical. So that's the other good thing with additive is we can move really fast without dragging time to wait on part A, B, and C to be made. We can get them one and done. We get them in, they're turnkey for us. we box them up and off they go. Because like I said, we started this whole venture in September, middle September. So I mean, what's that, 2, 3 months ago? And we're, pumping. I mean, Mike, how many times we talked to, and it's like, where are you at, Florida? Where are you at, Arizona? Where are
Yeah,
you at, Tennessee?
dude, you have been moving like you are the epitome of the traveling salesman right now because
Right.
it's, you know, I'm so happy to see you go on your own venture, and I'm so happy to
Mhm.
see you try to do this thing. And you've got a team with you, but damn, my man, you picked you you could have picked a better time to start this and get on the road because it's by the time you took your month off, figured out what you wanted to do with life, did this thing and reached out, secured your investors, got everything up and running, got everything licensed, got everything, agreed upon with your printers and got everything out and going. It was like, dude, you were knee freaking deep in the peak of the traveling season for the firearms industry. Like
Yeah.
you literally started like in the fall, and it was like, man, you'd have been better off. Like, I understand you couldn't pick your timing, but it was like, man, you could have done this and started this venture in the spring, like early spring, and then like baby stepped into it. But like, bro, you got thrown in the deep end and didn't really have time to.
Baptism by fire.
Yeah, you didn't
Right.
figure out how to swim, you just had to figure out how to tread water to stay afloat.
Right. Which that was a good thing about my background is I kind of know where to go, where not to go. So it's a little bit easier
Mm.
for me. But yeah, I didn't have the perfect circumstances to leave on my own, so to speak. Couldn't just tell them like, all right, I'm leaving here because everything was good at the first part of the year, but here we are. But no, I mean, we did CanCon, we did Suppress Fest, we did Capital Armories, No Noise November. We've got Bauer Precision this weekend. I got to go to Vegas Tuesday. We're actually doing a video vlog type shoot with Corey at Superior Defense, and then I think Matt
Nice.
from Fear Tomorrow is going to try to come down. But that's the other thing is I have these relationships that I've built that I can do things like this on the quick and get as much media, get as much push, get as much social, whatever it might be, to push out by January 1.
Mm.
Yeah,
Because it's like you said, we did not have that lag time where I could just wait for a month to be like, oh, well, I'll hit it in October, right? Or I'll hit it in November. I think I slept in my bed 7, 8 times this month.
oh,
Because it
wow.
seemed like I was gone. There's been a few times where I'd come home, get home about 11, 12, because I drove everywhere for the most part. Get home 11, 12 midnight, sleep for 3 or 4 hours, and I'm back on the road again, going up to Virginia and then working my way down or
Yeah,
going to Florida. Uh, there's a few times I have to, I'll get tired on the road. So I just pull up to a rest area, get 2 hour nap, and then off I go again. Cause I don't have that time to kill. I don't have time to lag. I can't
yeah,
afford it.
yeah, no, I mean, and
Amazing.
especially I was gonna say, especially with January coming up with
Mhm.
the $0 tax stamp that's coming up, it's if, if you're not if you're not ramping up marketing
It's
wise.
too late.
Yeah, if you're not
Mhm.
ramping up marketing wise, production wise, um, you know, word of mouth wise, you name it wise, like you're not dead in the water, but you're definitely behind the 8 ball at this point. And so,
Right.
like, I think you having your industry knowledge to lean on was really cool because you knew like, hey man, we got to get moving, we got to start these things and aligning with the people that you've aligned with as far as distribution goes. Even, the guys at Capital Harmony, those guys are great.
Mhm.
Gl-
Oh
you,
yeah.
you got to, call in the favor there and get those guys to help. When you go to Vegas, you need to talk to Corey, man. You need to put a damn tank on that thing and do a damn limited run.
Right.
Like
We've done it before.
telling
But
you
now
something.
that's the plan. It's like we're going out there next week and or this week and hanging out with him, doing video media with him. We might do a limited batch or something with him. But also we're getting into face-to-face time with some of those Vegas stores, like the Discount Firearms, like Las Vegas
Mhm.
Gun Club, all those that Corey has those relationships with. But it is like he was one of the first persons I called when I thought about doing this on my own. I was like, Corey, I know you've started businesses left and right. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And the best piece of advice he gave me was like, dude, if you're thinking about doing it, just do it. He said, because now you're gonna be just keep going back to yourself on why didn't I do it?
Yeah.
So I just
Mhm.
look like Charlie Day after Sunny with all the conspiracy theories, with the roadmap, the shrine, the pinholes. Like, yeah, it's like, all right, we're here. We got hit this week, this week, this week. Fuck, last week I was in Phoenix for 4 days. And that was like, I
Oh,
didn't know
yeah.
if I was going to go to Phoenix that Saturday. Then Sunday I was like, oh, I'll go to Phoenix. So I booked a flight on the red eye. So I was like, all
Yeah.
right, got to get there. Got to get the good thing. I got friends in Phoenix where I didn't have to get a rental, that I just paid them a little bit of something, something, or take them out to dinner, and there's my taxi for the day. Right.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but like you're rolling in, we're recording at the, pretty much we're recording at the last day of November right now, guys.
Right.
And you're dropping right now, in January. But you even, you somehow you've planned all this right, and it shows you know what you're doing, because you're already you're gonna have a presence at SHOT Show. Like, you
Hmm.
are
Yep.
at SHOT. Like, you're already boothed up,
Yep.
you thought about, well, you know, main floors for a different time. But
Hmm.
where I'm at, I'm gonna, you and I talked about, like, it was even, you even put a lot of thought into, where do I want my booth to be? Like,
Right.
who's around me? Who's gonna help bring in traffic that could overflow into me, and all that stuff.
Hmm.
And I think that's really cool. And I mean, it just kind of goes to show that you're not out here to be a flash in the pan. You're not out here to be I'm gonna sell a couple on this and, move on.
Take my bag and leave and go to my private island.
Yeah. Well, if you take your bag and leave off this place, you're fucking taking me with you.
Yeah.
We're going too. But
Says the one with $2,000 bottle of bourbon behind his left shoulder.
shush, it's open. It's not worth that anymore.
It's only
So
it's only 2/3 full, yeah.
yeah, so it's only 1,200. But so let's talk about the Strake 9. So you've dropped the 9. What
Mhm.
what other caliber options are you in the works with? You said you were working on solid before you jumped on, that you can speak about, if everything goes the exact way Josh wants it to go, what are the next products that you foresee rolling out?
Yeah, so it's going to be mainly the catalog, right? So 5.56 is coming out next. Excuse me. But yeah, 5.56 coming out next. We're going to do a K can first, because once again, it's not a super saturated market. And I've still got a good bit of LE connects that are looking for tiny 5.56 cans. So get some money and thing. But once I can finalize the 5.56K, then the standard length is not that hard to do. Add about a half length, 3/4 of an inch length to it, tune it in a little bit good, and then the 5.56s are done. The K and the standard length. The next one after that will be 7.62 all around. That one's gonna take probably be in the fall. I'll take some time to develop, because with 5.56 is one of those things. As long as it sounds good on 5.56 and now 6 arc, you're good. 7.62, you got to do 5.56 blackout, AK, 308, magnums, all that good stuff. And then the plan after that is to do more of a lightweight 30 cal can titanium bolt gun type deal, where it's not
Okay.
super heavy, but it's still giving you the performance. But the other thing is make everything affordable, right? I'm not from rich background, so it's like I don't want $1,000 can, because most people can't afford 1,000 or want to afford 1,000. So if I can make a $700-800 can sound just as good, even numbers wise, as a $1,200-1,300 can, I'm good with it. So that's the next build, and then after that, then it's going into the caliber or the platform dedicated, where it's like, all right, let me build an AK can, let me build a DMR, Mark 12 style can. That's not over the barrel, uh, and then pistol cans, I mean, the Strake does really good on pistol, so I don't know if I'll make a 9mm can. I might just push people to the pistol and, buy your Nielsen device from. I'm a big fan of Resilient with their titanium booster, their titanium pistons, so keep everything nice and light. And then 45 would be 2 years if I want to pursue it, just because it's not a fast moving. And I've talked to dealers about this too, and 45s are some of the slowest moving cans because people want it until they realize 45 ammo is not as cheap as 9mm ammo.
Mm-hmm.
The only people who really ask for it is the 450 Bushmasters, the 4570s, the 458 SOCOM, those oddball calibers where you can't really scale a flagship can off niche calibers like that. And
Yeah.
then rimfire at some point, but no one gets rich off rimfire cans, so it has to be something cheap, extremely good. Your ROI on it's got to be extremely well. But I mean, most people 20 on rimfire cans, you're only making maybe 50, 60, $70 a can, if that. There's just no money there, right? Because you have to make the can cheaper than $400. You just have to be competitive in the rimfire market. I mean, you see Cat does their bin and their short round and their $600 rimfire cans. And that's good, but it's like the normal person can't justify $800, with tax out for a rimfire can. It just doesn't make sense.
To put on my 1022. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Where like the Element 3 was a $400 can, the Otter Creek Titanium's $400 can, and they're good cans, and you're not breaking the bank on them. Yeah. But yeah, the next steps are 556K standard and 762. Hopefully by the end of the year, 762 and the 556K will be at SHOT Show prototyped. And then I don't know if I'll have the standard at SHOT Show yet, but it'll be right behind it.
Awesome. So Josh, what do you think? I mean, it sounds like you're laser focused on pretty on on dedicating a can to a platform. So
Right.
what do you think are the strengths of that for hunters, precision shooters, PCC shooters, and then gas operated rifle shooters?
Yeah. Well, the thing that helped push that to that decision was $0 tax stamps in January. Because now most people my age, they, grew up with 45 can, a rimfire can, and a 30 cal can, covered all the bases.
Yeah.
But now we're in a position where, all right, well, I bought say I bought a Tri-Arc 14.5. Okay, I want a mini can for that because I don't want a super heavy long can on it, but I still want to get somewhat good sound suppression. Or I've got an MP5 variant and I want to put a 9mm can, but the Tyrant 9 is more pistol setup. So where is the PCC can? All right, well, I guess I'll go to a lithium. So that's more along the lines of we're seeing more people go dedicated on a lot of rigs now, even talking with customers. They're like, yeah, I'm building, an AK for this, or I've got a 20-inch 308 bolt gun that I'm using for, scout sniping type deal. Where I don't want a super heavy can on it. I want something light, short, that just takes the bite out of it. And we're seeing a lot of it with, I'm sure y'all have the boosterless 9mm cans, where they're just good enough to take the bite out. But people are liking that because they're putting them in nightstands. I think some of them are using traditional holsters, where they're not so much worried as sound performance as long as it takes the bark out of the can or the bark out of the round. So I just see that's where this industry is going next, especially I think it got expedited when they eliminated tax down. So that's going to be interesting in January to see what sells out fast, what sells out first. And then the biggest thing is where does that plateau and how does it look after the plateau?
So we've mentioned it a couple times already. I'm going to say we've already mentioned it a couple times, so we might as well address the elephant in the damn room. So, well, hold on. Before I address that elephant, I need to address a different elephant. So you're in Alabama, right?
Yep.
So are you an elephant or an eagle?
Oh, last night was a good day.
Okay.
Last night was a good day.
I just had to make sure. My wife was born in Dothan, and she is a bammer. She is a roll tider. So I was like, all right, I had to ask you. That was a pretty big game, and I didn't know if you guys were going to be able to do that until the very end. But
yeah, it was that O line was a little sketchy at the second half. First half was good.
slightly better than my my pro Tennessee Titans today, but you guys pulled it out. So so back to, you know, the NFA stuff we've mentioned a couple times. Man, like, what are your thoughts in Alabama? What are your
Uh-huh.
thoughts on the NFA and the tax stamp and the wait times going to nothing? But then also, do you see it staying at 0 forever? And if not, I personally think we need to do a lot more because if they take it out of the NFA, states like Alabama and Colorado are gonna get screwed until their state laws get rewritten.
Yeah, I mean, the first and foremost, we'd like to see the NFA completely gone. I think you should buy a suppressor. Honestly, it's one of the few things Europe has right is you can't
Yeah.
hunt or shoot without a suppressor or what they call moderators out there, where you can buy them at the CVS or the convenience store. I mean, I think they should be that simple because all they are a piece of metal. You can't do nothing with them unless something's attached to them. Uh, I think the scariest thing is the dollar amount got reduced to 0, but stayed on the NFA, which in theory would mean you can raise the NFA, the tax down. That's the other side of the coin. But it's like you said, even if they eliminate the federal NFA, it's still like Alabama it's illegal unless federally approved. So unless the state local legislature takes care of that issue, then it's going to be a whole nother issue that I don't think a lot of people are looking at. They're looking at it as, well, federally, it's, deregulated. Yeah, but what does your state legislature say? You know, I think that's going to be that'll be the next fight, I think, would be if it does go away federally, how does it affect states where here's some good ones for you. Connecticut, you can have a suppressor. Would it pass the state legislature? Michigan, you can have a suppressor. Can it pass the state legislature? Colorado, the same way. I don't think they'd pass. They're so blue. I don't think it would pass. Washington's the same way right now. You
Yeah.
know.
So, because my thought process, and it was interesting to say, you know, you say Europe has it right, and I'm not trying to start an argument here. I'm more of a firearms advocate, but also self-preservation here.
Mhm.
Uh, I hope that they don't end up in the CVS. And everybody in the comments call me a FUD. I don't give a shit. But the reason I say that is because the more readily available they are, the more likely they are to show up in a crime and then give all of us a bad name. I'm not necessarily saying that they need to be a 4473, but I think there could be a caveat of where they're sold only where 4473s are sold. Just
Okay.
because, and the only reason I say that is just because the acts of a few are going to impact the acts of many. And again, I'm all about firearms rights and everybody needs to own a gun and everybody should own a gun and everybody should do those things. But I'm looking at it from the defensive side of, you know, how the other side is going to take that. And the first time that one is accidentally attached incorrectly, wrong caliber and all, baffle strikes and everything, but it
Mhm.
still hits somebody, it's
Mhm.
going to be nobody heard this freaking thing because he shot from 7 miles away with his 38 special pistol. And it's going to be like, we all know it's bullshit,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you're gonna give
Same
everybody
thing.
else a bad name. Um,
It's the same
and
thing you're seeing with switches right now. I mean,
yeah,
Glock.
how'd that work out for the V?
Glock thought they had it right for a week.
I don't think it made it that long.
Yeah,
All I know is I saw a thing on Instagram. It's like, well, that didn't last long, and it's a V with a switch on it. I'm like,
Yeah.
Jesus.
I think
yeah,
it
All that
made it like
marketing
2 or
ploy
3
and
days.
everything, and we're back at square one here.
but I think you
But
touched on something, Josh, with the fact that because it's at 0 now, we haven't finished our fight. So there is still, depending on the next administration or the one after that or the one after that,
mhm,
it still leaves open interpretation of, hey, we can
right,
raise this thing. I don't think they're gonna go to the 4,000 some odd dollars
the
for
extreme of it. But I can see 500 to 1,000 though.
I could see
Yeah.
1,000 easily, and the moment that a tax stamp becomes $1,000,
Sales are gonna plummet.
I don't care if you're layer X or if you're brand X that is, top 5 in the industry in suppressor sales, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna feel it.
And so I think that, you know, I've said this before, but I think that if you're a firearms guy that just cares about your guns and you don't care about anything else, man, dude, buy your suppressor, take it home and show it off and enjoy it. But if you're someone who cares about everybody else's rights, take that $200 that you would have paid or whatever you can afford to pay and do your vetting and give that money each time you buy one to the ASA or the NRA or the GOA or the SAF or whoever that's going to fight for those rights to
Right.
take it
Mhm.
completely off the registry altogether to help your fellow gun loving,
Mm.
Americans in this country.
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's like when I saw it went to 0 but stayed on the registry, that's the first thing went through my head. It's like, all right, they're gonna see that you can lower it. Now they're gonna raise it. No matter if it's midterms, no matter if it's a Dem president next, you don't know. And that's like any legislation. You don't know how it's gonna be affected until the next administration comes in.
Yeah, and I mean, and the current administration isn't the keenest on firearms. I mean, they're allowing them because of their follower base, but they're not they're not the happiest about them. Um,
Which is crazy because of how Junior is such a supporter of 2A. And it's like Junior's got the ear, if nothing else.
well, I think it would take a junior to get in there. Now if the VP jumps in there, he has a little bit more skin in the game and he has a little bit more common sense, I think, so that
Mhm.
I truly believe that he would say, yeah, this is stupid. This isn't, we should add this, we should delete this. And
Right.
I think he could sort it. But if the current administration stays on its same path, it started out great and man, they're literally playing whack-a-mole even with their own team, and they're just hitting heads of whoever they want. And it's rubbing a lot of people wrong. And I don't want to get political, but you almost have to because there's a lot of your human rights and gun rights that are going to be at stake if we don't speak up and get loud.
Right. Yeah.
What do you there's kind of I've heard kind of two trains of thought about the NFA and its influences uh on firearms market, suppressor market basically. Um some that think that it stimulates creativity because it is more exclusive, that it draws the attention of buyers of a more prepared buyer financially, I guess.
Mhm.
Someone who's more willing to spend a little bit of money because they know what they're buying is a specialty thing.
Right.
Do you think with the let's just say there was a complete removal of suppressors from NFA, like is that going to stimulate actual growth, or do you think that it's gonna it'll cheapen a lot of things
Mm,
just because we'll see like we'll see knockoffs and we'll see hacks and
right. I think you're gonna have to worry more along the lines of IP protection, patent protection as far as manufacturers, so you don't have those knockoffs. Not saying there won't be Temu suppressors for too long. I mean, there probably already are that I just don't know about because I don't get on Temu. But no, I think you'll still have the top of the batch. The cream will always rise. It is what it is. But you also have the bottom chasers that always want the best deal. They want that $100 22 can or that $200 5.56 can, and then it's. I still think this industry, especially suppressors, is still an industry of you get what you pay for. Uh,
Yes.
especially that $500 to $700 market range. I think there's not much difference in cans from $500 to $800. I think you see a bigger influx when you get over that 1,000.
Mm.
But I think it's going to be two sets of stones where you still have that educated buyer, but you also have Jim Bob that just wants something quiet to shoot squirrels on the back porch, and he doesn't care if it's $50 or $100. He wants it for his 1022 just to pop squirrels. He doesn't care about,
Fair.
sound reduction, weight, any of that. Does it work? Does it cycle? Do I have to pop the squirrel? So I think you're going to see two sides of that coin. If that was ever to eliminate off the registry, and then, like I said, you're going to have knockoff Knights cans, knockoff AAC cans, knockoff anybody, Silence Go Hux cans. And then it becomes the how do you protect your IP and protect your patents?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. So let's let's give you the opportunity to talk a little bit about, you know, let you clear the air on what you think are some of the consumer misconceptions when about suppressors. When it comes to suppressors, there's not a one size fits all, but
Mhm.
there are two there are definitely two, you know, thought processes in this. You can either come from the school of thought of, I need a rimfire can. If I'm new to suppressors and I'm gonna buy my first one or two, I need a rimfire and I need a multi-cal, either a 30 cal can or I need some sort of, hybrid, 45 and down can or a 40 cal and down. Um, then there's the school of thought of, caliber specific.
Right.
What are some of the misconceptions that consumers have when it comes to buying their first suppressor?
Uh, a hybrid 46 cam will not be as quiet on 30 cal as a dedicated 30 cal can. Just because there's so much space in between the projectile and the gases. So it's not cooling them because the gases are going straight through because there's so much bore there. Uh, the other thing is Hollywood didn't do us no favors when, they put John Wick on the screen. They're just walking through a mall and no one's hearing the suppressor shots. Suppressors won't eliminate all the sound.
No.
They mainly just take the edge off or makes it comfortable to shoot. Uh, Rimfire cans through center fire cans that are welded are, wouldn't say a horrible idea, but you got to think rimfire mostly is dirty, carbon exposed, lead exposed rounds that going to build up inside the can, make the can heavier, not as quiet because you're clogging up ports and valves that are designed to eliminate gases. Uh, I'm like, yeah, there's not a one all do all can out there. I don't care what any marketing employee says. There's not a one all do all can that will do every caliber great. I mean, we learned that with Gymtech the one can. I don't know if y'all remember that one from back in the day,
Yeah.
but it didn't do anything great. My recommend if you have the financials, do dedicated builds, dedicated rigs, or at least a 5.56 30 cal can and a rimfire can. Uh, and just float the 5.56 around your ARs, the 30s around your AR-10s, bolt guns, and 22. Just leave a 22 can on a 22. Uh, I had a lot of people used to ask me, it's like, can I shoot 22 through my 5.56? I mean, you can. It's not going to hurt it, but just know that if you let it set up or don't clean it, it's going to clog and not be as quiet. Then you have to send it
Yeah.
in. We've got to cut it open and rebuild it because it's not a serviceable can. It just isn't made that way. But I think this just goes to the companies to break down that education to their customers. If you get this 46 can or 45 can, this is your trade off from a dedicated can, and then just doing that education with them. But yeah, there's not a jack of all, master of none, one can to be all. There's just
Yeah.
not.
So, Josh, what would you personally, what would you like to see change, or what would you fix tomorrow in the suppressor industry if you could?
You mean outside of removing them from NFA?
If
I mean,
I mean,
that would be the first step. I mean, that's the end goal of all is to remove suppressors off of registries. Uh, Next thing is, in theory, we could make them more affordable that way. The only other side of the
mm,
coin, if they do come off the registry and become a standard 44, we are subject to that excise tax. So that extra 12%, 12, 13%, I think is what it is. So it's like, how do we trade that off with customers? Because right now we're protected by the NFA because it's
Yeah.
already paying a tax on it. It's one of the few things where you pay a tax once and you don't pay it again, like car registration or homeowners, which in Tennessee, I don't think y'all have that issue. But,
We pay that. We definitely do, unfortunately.
but, but yeah, that's the next point is how do you flip that excise tax to the customers and without charging that onto the customer's can. Now, you don't want to trade that off to them and then, well, it was $600, now it's, 650 or whatever it is. But yeah, removing the registry will be the first step. Make them I wouldn't say easily accessible, but make them easier to get where you're not having to go to a certain dealer. Make sure anybody that has an FFL can have them. You don't need an SOT, you don't need this or that, which in theory the NFA removal would allow that. But yeah, those would be the first steps to do, and more, suppressor events, suppressor education events to explain to people what we just talked about on why you shouldn't, or if you're financially stable to get multiple cans, great. If not, this is your trade off, and have those, state seminars or state, events similar to what DU does, Wild Turkey does. But we'd like to see something like ASA do it, similar where it's suppressor organized, suppressor key to explain it to customer base,
So
and that
so let's just do a little hypothetical here. And we're sitting at the SHOT Show booth, and you're set up, you're ready, year one, you're ready to rock and roll, and you get, a dealer like myself that walks in there, and I'm walking around, I see your booth, I walk up to you and you tell me who you are. And I have the question of, all right, so why should I choose your suppressor over this guy's suppressor? How do you what's your thought process and how do you answer that?
So I'm not into the business of slinging mud, so I wouldn't, talk too much. I mean, if they're friends of mine, yeah, I'll talk, a little bit of shit. But for the most part, is just explain to the customers like, look, these are uh, dedicated builds. These are designed for certain platforms. Here's our numbers, compared to company X, Y, and Z. Here's what you're looking at from shooter zero, and here's also the price. And like I said, the margins across the board is where everybody makes money. Like it's not, from me to a dealer, it's not, 2-3%. Everybody makes money. So from a dealer aspect, as you would imagine, they want to sell can that they make more margins on. Just
Sure.
because more margins means more money to them.
Yeah.
But as long as you have the data to back it up to show why, the Strake9 would be better on MP5 suited than a company X, Y, and Z, as long as you have the data there, I think that would go a long ways to the dealer, but also show them I wouldn't so much so the marketing program, but show, well, we've been at Capital, we've been at Innovative Review Channel, we've been at Recoil, so they don't get that feeling where we're just a new company flash in the pan, that we're going to be around for a while. Because that's what I think we're going to see a lot of, is a lot of new manufacturers at SHOT Show this year that no one's heard of before, just because everybody's trying to ride
Mhm.
this wave of January 1. So you have to explain to the dealer why you're going to be there, in 6, 7 months if they have an issue or a
I was gonna
reorder.
say that. Yeah, I was gonna say that because, you've got optic manufacturers that are making suppressors. You've got firearm manufacturers that are making suppressors. You've got, gear manufacturers that are making suppressors because, this is going to be the decade to decade and a half of the suppressor.
Mhm.
And it's so everybody's trying to strike while the iron's hot. And so there's going to be some big names that are in there that are literally bringing out and rolling out suppressors solely based off their names. Uh,
Right.
Mhm.
nothing to do with nothing to do with sound suppression at all. It could be, it could be anything. I mean, it could be hell, we'll go to Home Depot. We'll just call it Milwaukee and DeWalt and Craftsman are dropping
Mhm.
compressors. I mean, that's the equivalent. Literally, they don't have any skin in that game, but they know enough people and enough manufacturing processes that they can probably produce a decent suppressor. But yeah, I mean, it's got to be tough for guys like you that your sole business is going to be suppressors for the foreseeable future. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the same. I mean, the same we can sell to people. Like, the only thing I can see really is doing the smart play with just let people know, like, we're all on our IP. We design our own cans. We don't buy, IP from company A and B and just print our name on it. I like the way Ruger and Dead Air did their conjunction, where Ruger basically just let Dead Air do a good can for a Ruger audience and just put the Ruger marketing on it. I think that was a really smart move, where it's not Ruger getting into the suppressor game, but Ruger partnering with a well-known brand to where the customer base knows, okay, well, it's Dead Air. I know what I'm getting, so to speak.
Yeah.
I'm not just getting, well, not with that question of why is Ruger. Here's one. Why is EOTech coming out with cans? That doesn't pop up in my head when I see the Ruger Dead Air collab. I see a Dead Air can with Ruger on it. Yeah, but that's going to be the tricky waters to navigate is how many will pop up and then how many will stick around. Because most of the big box stores, or not big box, but the big box manufacturers are based on quick ROIs. Is how many, for Springfield, how many Kunas can we sell this month? How many Kunas have we sold last week? It's not as easy with suppressors because most of the time the customer takes a while to educate himself on the product, and it's not quick. Wouldn't say it's this year's different. Will be in January because the ROI will be a lot quicker just because people are just buying to buy. But beforehand, you would have to wait for certain sales events, sale seasons where the summer would be dead. You would get good on Q1, then pick back up around hunting time. Where a big box store, and I saw this with Remington, it was like every week at Remington, it was like, okay, how many have we sold this week? How many have we sold this week? Because they
yeah,
don't move like 700s and 870s do. So that's why I get back to the saying of how long they'll stick around because they're not seeing that quick turnover. How long will they stay in that game
Yeah.
before they throw their? I mean, we saw it. I don't know if y'all remember or not. Remember Blackhawk made suppressors
yeah.
for what?
Matt
Not
loves
even
Black
a
Hawk.
year.
They
But I mean,
they
they weren't
didn't sell
around.
them very long.
No, I don't even think they made it a year. But that's what I'm getting at. Is Blackhawk's known for quick turns. Quick turn holsters. So it's
Yeah.
how long do they expect? How long do they want to wait in that game before they just throw their caps in and say, you know what, we'll let LayerX, Silence Code, Dead Air, whoever do what they do, and we'll just stay out of it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that makes sense. That makes sense.
Well, Josh, I think we've covered a lot, and I think we're about to the end, about to my favorite part of the show. Um, I don't remember your answers last time for this part. I know that I asked them of you. Usually,
Right.
I do a top 5 guns. We pretend like NFA doesn't matter. It's not the zombie apocalypse, anything like that. But
Right.
I think I'm going to switch it up a little bit.
Okay.
You obviously are a connoisseur of cans. I
Right.
want to know. You can choose a LayerX can as one of them, but I want to know, Josh, what are your top 5 cans?
Oh hell!
If
Are
you
we
get if
going?
you can only have 5 cans, what 5 cans are you having, bro?
The
Are
boobs count
we?
as cans?
Are we excluding the
You
ones
get
I've designed or what?
No, you can all the ones you've designed, anything that you think is cool or retro, like anything that you respect or think was industry leading at the time. Like I'm kind of curious as a connoisseur
Oh
what
shit!
you think is what you think is cool.
So of course the Strake 9, that's probably the proudest can I've done. Between that and the RBP,
Good.
those are full on design cans from start to finish. The Strake 9 means more just because I'm working for myself and not the big overlord. So that one
Yeah.
helps. So that one, the M4 2000, I think that should be in the heart of everybody's can, just because of what it is. The SR 25 from Knights, the
Killer.
Mark 23 from Knights is the other one.
You got one
And
more.
then let's go with a new one. One I've been really a fan of is the Velos K. I really like that Velos K.
Really?
Yeah. The only thing I wish they did Bravo, but I understand why they went to Charlie for that heavy duty operation. But the Velos has been,
Mm.
I've really liked that cam, both the standard and the K, but the K's a fun one for me.
Perfect. I think that was I like that you didn't really have to think too hard about it.
No, I mean, you've been in,
You
you've
knew
been in as long as
you
I've
knew
been.
what you
It's like,
liked.
no, it's like I've shot most every can on the market, and I got a good feel for everything. And the thing is with 5.56 cans right now, there's not a large span between top and bottom. They're very close from. You can throw a rock and hit a good 5.56 can. You know, the technology has came so far within the past 5 years. Where 5 years
Yeah.
ago, it's like, all right, AAC, Surefire, Silencer Co. Dead Air didn't have their 5.56. It was just Sandmans. But between that, there was just everybody else was just treading the bottom. Now it's like you can throw a rock and get a good one. You're basically just figure out what you want. Does weight matter? Does outside diameter matter? Little thing. Sound shouldn't be your key focus anymore because they all sound good.
Right now.
Hell yeah. Well, Josh, brother, I think we made it to the end. I think we did it. Yeah. So before we close out, let's go ahead and tell everybody that's listening, if you're looking for LayerX, where can they find you?
Gotcha. So our website's layer3dx.com. Instagram is LayerX Suppression, and then Facebook is the same LayerX Suppression as well. Uh, Basically, we're redoing our website's live now. We're going to be redoing probably by the time this releases. We'll probably have a brand new website that's more finely tuned. But right now, Instagram and Facebook is where I'm hanging out. So if you have any questions, DM me on Instagram, and I'll get with you as soon as I can. Same with Facebook.
Sweet. So my last question,
Mhm.
if there's a new shooter that is interested in getting into suppressors, whether they choose you or they choose something else, what advice could you give people that are looking to purchase their first suppressor?
Don't go in with the expectations of what Hollywood has put in your mind. The guns will still be loud. You will still get gas in your face a little bit, or depending on which can, but don't go in thinking they're going to be Hollywood quiet. Have your expectations.
Okay.
Solid advice. Well, to all of our listeners, we want to thank you guys for watching and tuning in. Josh, we want to thank you, of course, for joining us once again on Whiskey
For
and
sure.
Windage.
No problem.
All of you guys out there in Digital Wonderland, if you have any questions for Josh, general suppression questions specific to Layer X, leave them down in the comments. Mike and I will make sure to get those over to Josh. He's really good about answering and engaging with the folks. So, like, share, subscribe, and drop a comment down there for Josh. On behalf of Josh, Mike, and myself, thanks for watching Whiskey and Windage. We'll catch you next week.